Hello everyone, Douglas Macbeth with my review of week 3. Before we get on to that stage, I should just indicate that I've finally caught up with week 2 and 3 and 1 webinars, and I'd just like to reflect on them for a few minutes before we go back to week 3. Week 1 reinforced the points about the pitfalls, and we had some really nice examples of how organisations in all parts of the world and all different circumstances can recognise the reality of these pitfalls and the costs that they imply. So that was a useful reinforcement point and worth revisiting. I know a lot of you have found the pitfalls and the avoidance of the pitfalls discussions very interesting, and hopefully many of you will have a little printout on your desk now, just as a constant reminder of how it can be, but how it maybe should be. So that was week 1, that was really important. Week 2 was about the impact of women, and again, the importance of this cannot be underestimated. Of course, the gender inequality is only one of many aspects of diversity that too many organisations are struggling to deal with. But just in statistics terms, the sheer quantity of women involved in the process and their underrepresentation at many senior levels is a major concern. It also reflects interestingly on our course, I think, because as we've been emphasising throughout this, the world of contracts and commercial management is changing, has been changing, continues to change, but it changes in ways which maybe challenge certainly Western stereotypical gender descriptions. So that in the past, the ones who succeeded were probably the hard-headed, aggressive, macho types, which tends to be the male stereotype. However, if we're talking about cooperation rather than conflict, and looking for big pictures and managing relationships, that in Western stereotypes is certainly a more normal female role or female behaviour. So old guys like me are beginning to think that we have a lot to learn in this changing world. So that was really interesting, and again, really interesting discussion points coming through from there. So week 3 was all about change, challenge, innovation, and again, this seems to have resonated with a lot of people. The TED Talk in particular seems to have stimulated a lot of discussion, and that, as someone remarked, how up to date is this thinking, and yet the TED Talk was 2013. So things do take a long time to change. But that's the challenge and the opportunity. And hopefully this course and your learnings and your reflections will make it more possible for you to be part of that changing process. The video itself was really emphasising a number of things which have come through the course, and so it was a nice summary process as well. That essentially too many of us are reactive. We tend to wait until we're forced to do things rather than look for the opportunities to improve and change. There was a nice quote from Tim Cummins about the need for maybe a quality control view of contracts, and the quality movement was fundamentally important, going back a couple of decades now, and it was a real change of worldview and way of thinking. And just to apply that same process to the management of contracts is an interesting insight. So reflect on that one in particular and see how that continues on into the future. So the need for innovation was essentially we're too reactive, we're not seeing the big picture, we're not managing performance, and that's what the pitfalls were about. But increasingly we're having to think about outcomes more and manage towards the outcomes and write the contracts in a way that reinforce both sides' obligations to deliver on their promises and deliver the outcomes. So again, a very useful and insightful set of discussions in that programme. So a final thought from me, some thanks due to the team at Southampton for their help in all of this, and of course the people at WCC who are have to be congratulated again for putting on some superb speakers and discussion points. So hopefully you've reached the end of your time with this course. You can of course reflect on it for some time longer. Excuse me. And hopefully it's provided you with some ways of thinking that you can use, and that you can be part of this great change that we think is in process but needs some extra help from all of us all the way along. So in that journey I wish you well, and can only hope that the world changes in lots of interesting ways for everyone's benefit as soon as possible. Thanks and goodbye for now.